Well, let's call it what it is. Shocking testimony this afternoon in Austin as we wrap up day 4 of the Ken Paxton impeachment trial. 6 News reporter William Johnson brings us the very latest on the employee who claims he was fired for coming forward.
Yeah, Chris, this is probably the most dynamic testimony we've heard from the trial thus far. And today we saw 2 witnesses take the stand. Ryan Vassar, who served under Paxton as a former deputy attorney general. The other, David Maxwell, the former director of law enforcement for the state of Texas. Vassar was questioned by Paxton's lawyers about what evidence he brought to the FBI. The most compelling testimony, though, came from Maxwell. Being the head of law enforcement, Maxwell became aware of Paxton's relationship to Nate Paul, so he warned his boss.
I told him that all you're doing is using the power and the prestige of this office for your own purpose, and I'm not going to allow that.
The former director says he warned Paxton about a possible indictment. By that time, Maxwell says he had no further contact with the AG.
I knew then what his commitment was to Nate Paul, and he was not going to be deterred from continuing to try and do things that benefit Nate Paul.
In fact, Maxwell says Paxton threatened to fire him if he pursued it. Eventually, Maxwell came forward to law enforcement like many others, and he says it cost him his job.
Well, in firing me, at the time I was 71 years old and had risen to a top level of law enforcement. In effect, when he fired me and then berated me in the news, he ended my career.
Paxton's attorneys then began questioning Maxwell about his specific dealings with the Attorney General, including his loyalty to the office. This is the first testimony we've heard of Paxton firing an employee who claims he was retaliated against for trying to do the right thing. I'm William Johnson with 6 News.
Thanks for that update, William. Meanwhile, Dan Patrick, who is serving as the presiding officer, says that we should be at about the halfway point for the evidence portion of the trial, but the decision could still take a matter of weeks.